Hi, boys and girls. Today we're doing Chapter 1, Lesson 3, Ordering Numbers. This is about putting numbers in order either from greatest to least or least to greatest. So I'm going to share with you some hacks that will help you get questions like this right on tests, etc. So first, let's look at our learning intention. I am learning to order numbers so that I can understand how numbers work, which will help me with much harder math. So knowing how to analyze numbers and put them in order and those kinds of things will help you when you're doing much harder math later on. So let's talk about ordering numbers. Comparing numbers will help you put them in order, will help you to order them. Okay, so looking on this page, you can see we have a chart here with the average lengths of whales. He's a cute little whale. Looks like he's going, like the Three Stooges. Okay, so the Odell family went on a whale watching trip. They learned about different whales. The table shows the lengths of 3 whales. Order the lengths from least to greatest. Now, you always have to pay attention on these kinds of questions to what order to put the numbers in and to make sure that you do it in the right order. And that's where the hack is going to come in. Okay, so let's look at our chart first. So they have the types of whales in the first column, the length in inches in the second column. So an orca whale is 264 inches, a blue whale is 1,128 inches, and a humpback whale is 744 inches. So we're going to use a place value chart first to analyze these numbers and put them in the correct order. Let's see, I think I'm going to use orange for my pen because they have a lot of green, blue, and red on here. So, okay, so one way is to use a place value chart. So you line up the numbers by their place value from the right and you compare from the left. Not once in any of the instructional videos did they tell you this part, that you do it from the right when you're putting them on the place value chart. But if you notice, 4 is in the ones place here, we write the 4 first. 6 is in the tens place, you put the 6 here. 2 is in the hundreds place, you put it here. A common third grade error is to start in the first box. And when you run out of digits, you just go, well, and just leave a blank space. And that is incorrect. It's going to throw off your answers. So make sure that when you put a number in the place value chart that you start on the right, work to the left. And then when you're going to compare them, you start from the left and work to the right. Okay, so a blue whale, there's an 8 in the ones place. There's a 2 in the tens place. There's a 1 in the hundreds place. And there's a 1 in the thousands place. And for the humpback whale, we have 4 in the ones place, we have 4 in the tens place, and we have 7 in the hundreds place. So now we can compare. So in the thousands place, we only have 1 that has a 1. The other 2 have a 0 there. We don't write the 0, but we understand. It's called an understood 0. We understand that there are 0 thousands for both of those numbers. So then when we are, so actually this number here is going to be our greatest. I'm going to put a G here to help us remember that it's the greatest number. And now we're going to compare the hundreds place. We're going to ignore this number because we already ordered that one. We have a 2 in the hundreds place here and a 7 in the hundreds place here. So the 2 is the smallest number, the smaller number, because we're comparing two things. So this one is going to be our least. So I'm going to put a lowercase l there. So you have our least, our greatest, and then you have the one in the middle. So least, greatest, middle. Okay, so let's go down a little bit. Let's scroll down. And another way to do it is to use a number line. So you have to think what the numbers are in between. So 264 is between 200 and 300. 744 is between 700 and 800. And 1,128 is between 1,100 and 1,200. Now, when you're going from least to greatest, you're going this direction. So this is least, this is greatest, okay? If you're going the other way, you're going to go from left to right when you want greatest to least. Okay, so let's go ahead and order those numbers. So here we can see that 264 is the least here. We also decided it was the least here. So we're going to put 264 here. Okay, then the middle number is 744, which we had already decided up here. And our greatest number is 1,128, which we also decided up here, but we had crossed it out because we wanted to ignore that one. We were comparing the other two. So 1,000, you must have the comma, 128. Okay, so the order from least to greatest is 264 inches, 744 inches, and 1,000, put the comma in, 128 inches. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, the table shows the distances whales travel to feed in the summertime. This is called migration. Order these distances from greatest to least. Now they've changed the directions. So I'm going to highlight it so that we focus on what order we want them in. We want them to go from greatest to least. So we're going to use a place value chart to line up the numbers by their place value. Compare from the left. So we're going to place them from the right, compare from the left. So looking at our place value chart, the humpback whale is 3,500. So I'm going to go ahead and dot the digits so you can see where I'm talking about. They have orange on here, so let's use dark green. There we go. So the humpback whale has a 0 in the ones place, and a 0 in the tens place, a 5 in the hundreds place, and a 3 in the thousands place. The gray whale is 6,000, travels 6,200 miles. So I have a 0 in the ones place, a 0 in the tens place, a 2 in the hundreds place, and a 6 in the thousands place. And then the orca whale is 900, so that's 0 in the ones place, 0 in the tens place, and 9 in the hundreds place. Okay, so now I can compare from the left. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a different color. Let's see. Oh, goodness, more colors. Here we go. Ooh, you know what? We'll use this purpley pinky color. Okay, so we're going to start from the left, and we're going to see which number is the greatest. So in the thousands place, we have a 3 and a 6. 6 is bigger, so that is the greatest number. Okay, we have 0. Remember the understood 0 in the thousands place here. So this is going to be my least number, and this one will be in the middle. Okay, so the greatest number is 6,200. I like this color. The second greatest number, or the middle number, is 3,500. So now we're going to put them in order from greatest to least. 6,200 is the greatest number, which is greater than 3,500, which is greater than 900. So there you go. Okay, so the whale's migration distances from greatest to least are 6,200 miles. Make sure you get those commas in there. 3,500 miles and 900 miles. Okay, so now the guided practice. This is the part where you will pause, write your answer, then unpause the video. So in number 1, you are going to compare the digits starting from the left in the place value chart. Then you're going to put the numbers in between the semicolons on the blue lines. Let me show you a hack. Now the directions say order the numbers from least to greatest. So I'm going to highlight that again, least to greatest. Now watch my little hack here. And I'm going to make this thinner so that I can write better. So it's least to greatest. So underneath the first line, I'm going to write least. And under the last line, I'm going to write greatest. Now, if it had asked me for greatest to least, those numbers would be reversed. I'd have greatest under the first one and least under the last one. Don't worry about the middle one. Okay? Again, least under the first one, greatest under the last one. Remember, greatest means biggest, and least means smallest. Okay? So go ahead and put your words underneath your blue lines here to help you remember, and then go ahead and compare. Do number one, unpause the video, then we'll do number two. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so comparing the hundreds there's no digits in the hundreds place, so I can ignore the hundreds place. So now I'm going to look at the tens place. So I have a 6 here, which is greater than the other numbers, and then I have 2 3s. So I know that 68 is going to be my greatest number. I'm going to put it here. Okay, the 3s are the same. You can feel free to cross them out if you want. Okay, I'm not going to pay attention to this number anymore because I already used it. So now I'm going to compare 9 and 2. 2 is the smaller number, so 32 is my least number, and my second least is 39. 32, 39, 68. And if I was counting, I would come to 32 first, I'd come to 39 next, and 68 last. Okay, go ahead and do number 2 the same way, and then unpause your video. Okay, so looking at the thousands place, I see I have a 2 here, so that's my greatest number. So 2,202. Now I'm going to cross that out because I already used it. I'm going to use my strike through tool. Okay, now I'm going to compare in the hundreds place. I have 2s, so I'm not going to pay attention to those. Now I'm going to look at the tens place. I have a 0 and a 2. 0 is smaller, so I'm going to put 202 in my least position. And then my only number that's left is 220. So when I read it, 202 is less than 220, which is less than 2,202. If I was going to be counting, I would get to 202 first, then 220, then 2,202. All right, so now we go up to our independent practice. Now this one did not give you individual lines to write on, but you can still write your least to greatest, greatest to least underneath. I'm not going to require it, but if you use it, you are more likely to get your answers right. So these directions say order the numbers from greatest to least. Okay, so greatest will go first. So I would write, at least put a G under here if you don't write greatest, and put your L over here. And I would do that first before you do anything else. Okay, and I won't do the other two right now. Okay, so then once you're done ordering them, you can draw a place value chart on another piece of paper. You can, I wish they gave you room to show your place value charts, but they didn't. Please make sure you put your semicolons in between your numbers. Okay, it's a dot with a comma underneath it. So you must have the semicolons in between your numbers because that distinguishes them from the thousands place. If you only use commas, it gets really confusing. So make sure that you put your semicolons in between the whole numbers. Okay, so on this one is greatest to least. You'll do all 9 of these. This one's greatest, least, greatest, least. And then down here at the bottom, you're going to do it the opposite direction, least to greatest. Okay, so I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to put least, greatest, least, greatest, least, greatest, least, greatest. I'm going to make sure that I use my semicolons in between my numbers. Don't write your semicolons in first, though. Write your number, put a semicolon. Otherwise, it's going to get squishy. It'll get really hard to read. And I have to be able to grade these. Actually, Miss Shahady does, but That's a different story. Okay, again, least, greatest, least, greatest. Okay, there you go. That's your math. If you have any issues, go back and watch your math videos. Ask your adult to help you. Okay, that is ordering numbers.